Hello everyone and welcome to You're Missing the Point. I'm Zach here again with you. Just want to thank you guys for tuning in last week. I really hope you guys are enjoying watching this as much as I enjoy making these for you. That being said, let's get to some sports. Steelers did make 3 free agency moves that I'm actually very happy with. Knile Davis signing, great move by them. He's going to be a depth running back in this system. He's going to fit a similar role that Fitzgerald Toussaint did, I believe, but I think Knile Davis could do a great job with it. He's going to get some carries. He's also going to be counted on the return game, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what Knile Davis can do. Coty Sensabaugh is another great free agent pickup that this team has made. He's a corner drafted from Clemson, played a bulk of his career for the Tennessee Titans. His best season came in 2015 where he finished with 60 tackles and 2 interceptions. I think it was another great corner depth move. Senquez Golson is a guy that the Steelers drafted with high hopes for. You know, he's showed some promise whenever he has been able to play, but unfortunately he's been ridden by injuries, so I think Coty Sensabaugh was a great depth move for them. Another great depth free agent pickup that the Steelers made was defensive end Tyson Alualu. He was the 10th overall pick in the 2010 NFL draft. His best season was in 2012. He had 34 tackles and 3.5 sacks. He's going to be a guy that's going to be able to give Cam Hayward and Stephon Tuitt a breather on defense. So yet again, 3 depth moves, but 3 great depth moves, and I believe that they're really going to help the Steelers moving forward. Now we're going to get into our weekly Stick to Sports social media segment. Got some great questions from you guys this week. I'm looking forward to answering them, so let's get started. Our first question comes from @DrewColetta, and he asks, what do you think of the University of Pittsburgh hiring their first female athletic director in Heather Lyke? Well, Drew, on the surface, I think Heather Lyke is a great hire. She worked many years in the Ohio State Athletic Department, and she ended up going on to become the athletic director at Eastern Michigan, a school where football kind of fell by the wayside. Their last bowl game was in 1987. She ended up making a great coaching hire, and their coach led them to their first bowl game since 1987 this past year. So she did great things with the football program there, great things with the athletic program there, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what she could do when given the chance to run the athletic program at Pitt. Our next question comes from @Jared Polanski, and Jared asks, what position do you think is most important for the Steelers to go after in the upcoming draft? Well, Jared, there's not one but 2 positions I believe the Steelers need to go after. Obviously, the first would be a pass rusher, outside linebacker. James Harrison, he signed what I believe will be his last contract with the Steelers. They're going to need a guy to take over for him and also a guy that can rotate in right now. So obviously, an outside linebacker is a position they need to look into. Next would be a quarterback to be the successor to Ben Roethlisberger. Like I said in last week's show, I don't think Landry Jones is the successor for Ben Roethlisberger, so they need to look at taking a quarterback in this year's draft. Nate Peterman's a guy that could go in the 3rd round, I believe. So, the Steelers could, if he falls to the 4th, the Steelers would be stupid not to take him. There's obviously some other great quarterbacks the Steelers could look into, but Nate Peterman's a great quarterback that could end up falling, so I would look for the Steelers to hopefully take him if he's available after the 2nd round. Our next question comes from @Zedek24, and he asks, where do you think Nate Peterman will go in the draft? Well, Ryan, as I said before, Nate Peterman could go in the 3rd or 4th round. The Chiefs, Bears, Saints, and Jets have all been in contact with him so far. I would look at some other teams to be in contact with him. Houston Texans could be another team I could possibly see taking him. They got rid of Brock Osweiler. They're a team that's supposed to be in play for Tony Romo. Tom Savage is maybe the only other proven quarterback on their team, yet he did only get limited playing time last season. So I would look at them to take a quarterback in possibly the mid to high rounds this year. So Nate Peterman's a guy that could fall right into their lap in the 3rd round, and I could see that being a great pickup for them. Our next question comes from @Weiler Tisnewski, and he asks, does Penn State hockey ride the momentum of the Big Ten championship and the 2 straight double overtime wins in the Big Ten tournament to success in the NCAA tournament? Well, Tyler, the funny thing about that is, you see in certain college tournaments, there's some teams that have great conference tournament runs and they go on to have great NCAA tournament runs. There's some other teams that you see have some great conference tournament runs and they just seem to run out of gas in the NCAA tournament. That being said, Penn State is not a team that can afford to run out of gas right now. If they expect to have some success in the NCAA tournament this year, congratulations to them for making it, but they're not going to have an easy matchup in the 1st round. They are going up against Union, and they have the third and fourth top scorers in the NCAA on their team in Mike Vecchione and Spencer Fu. They've combined for 122 points this season, so obviously they're going to be coming at Penn State with all they have, so Penn State's got to be ready for them. That being said, I wouldn't be surprised to see Penn State get an upset in the first round, but even at that, it's been a great season for them, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what they can do in the NCAA tournament, though. So thank you for the question, Tyler. Our next question comes from @condev23, and he asks, do you think Pitt basketball would be better off with a true point guard or a true big man? Well, Connor, I would say a true point guard would be more impactful to the team. They have one roster spot open right now. I would look for that to go to a grad transfer or junior college big man. They just need a guy that can get underneath there and eat up some boards. And, they didn't have a true point guard this season. They had Jamel Artis running the point. He averaged 3.3 assists and 2.6 turnovers per game. James Robinson in his senior season averaged 5 assists and 1.3 turnovers per game. He was a great guy that could run the floor for them. They also need a guy that can kill some clock for them too. They ran into a couple situations this season where they had some late game leads, needed to kill some clock, and they were still throwing up shots with a lot of time left on the shot clock actually. So I would say that a true point guard would be more impactful to the team because you need someone that can run the offense, obviously someone that can score, and you also need the guy to find the open man and eat up some minutes in late game situations. So I would definitely say a true point guard would be more impactful to the team. Thank you for that question, Connor. And finally, our last social media question comes from @CharlesMarkley, and he asks, what are your favorite all-time jerseys, any team, any sport? Well, Mark, this was a hard question to answer, so I decided to pick 4 professional sports teams' uniforms and a college team's uniform that I like the most. First, I'm going to go with the NFL. I believe the Houston Oilers home uniforms, those baby blue uniforms, those are my all-time favorite NFL uniforms. Next up, we have the NHL with the Hartford Whalers. I loved their uniforms. There's a chance that the Islanders can move up to Hartford. I'm really hoping for that. I loved their uniforms. I loved their logo. So that would be great for hockey to go back to Hartford. Up next, we have the MLB and the Montreal Expos. This is another team that I just really love the colors in their uniform, love their logo, love everything about it. And now we have the NBA. The Cleveland Cavaliers 1990s uniforms are definitely by far my favorite NBA uniform. Just love the colors in it, the blue and the orange there. Great logo as well. Really love those uniforms. Lastly, we have our college uniform, which is the Pitt Retro uniforms. I was at the game at Heinz Field last year whenever they debuted him. Just a terrific uniform. I really love those colors. Well, that about wraps it up for this week's episode. Thank you everyone for watching. Today's show is brought to you by Shaw's Bait Company. For more information, please visit their Facebook page.